On this program, we're delighted. Tomorrow you'll meet more than a dozen Danish MPs. Briefly, can you explain to me why is such a meeting important?
Usually, you see, a different country, some parliamentarian, usually you see, they showing you see, their concern about Tibet. So these people come to see me, and then I usually consider the parliamentarians are the representative of the people. So it is quite clear among the people. There are, I think, many people who really showing interest about Tibetan culture, like that. So I'm happy. Then usually when I met parliamentarians, so of course I thank to them, and they are sort of concerned about Tibet. And then one particular sort of point, I usually is suggesting the Tibetan environment, delicate situation of environment. And actually, it is very, very important. According to some Chinese ecologists, they consider Tibetan plateau something very important. Yeah. So therefore, some parliamentarians, with full cooperation with some Chinese ecologists, then visit, Tibet, and study how much damage already done and what we need, some kind of realistic sort of plan or scheme. Of course, Tibet is a lot of minerals, so it is really worthwhile to use mineral things, but at the same time, minimum damage about environment, like that.
As a matter of routine, we all know that the Chinese leadership throws a fit at the slightest sign of Your Holiness meeting with foreign leaders. So obviously nobody respects China for this aggression. But in your view, do government leaders who don't meet you, does that mean, is that equal to that they're not interested in the issue and don't care for the Tibetan people?
No, I don't think. You see, some people maybe not much interest. I think mainly due to lack of knowledge or lack of holistic view. Then some not meeting does not mean they have no interest or no sort of sympathy, like that. That's the problem.
And can I ask you briefly for the record, and I even think I know the answer, but Your Holiness, is Tibet seeking independence?
No.
Having relinquished political power to an elected Sikyong, a prime minister, Your Holiness has remained only, as you told us earlier and as you keep telling us, a religious leader. This should make the Chinese side happy. Has Your Holiness received the tiniest sign that the Chinese are indeed happy with your having relinquished political power?
I simply take this decision, not sort of concerned about their views. But later, I was told some Chinese have the view, sort of the Dalai they are a bit easier to one individual person, they can deal. So without Dalai Lama, some even as an elected sort of leader in the exile community, so they may not represent the whole Tibetan. So sometimes they feel better to deal with Dalai Lama. But some say, without Dalai Lama, it's easier. They hardliners, they consider Dalai Lama is the obstacle. Actually not.
Inside China, we know that there are at least 300 million Buddhists, maybe even more. And I understand that some of them, Tibetan and Chinese, also ethnic Chinese, travel to India to attend your teachings. How do they perceive and how do they describe to you the conditions for truly practicing their faith inside China's border, in Tibetan areas as well?
Many Chinese, Han Chinese, you see, when they come to see me, most of them often tear.
Yeah, they
very,
cry.
very faithful,
Yeah.
very faithful. And then some intellectuals, they really showing interest about Tibetan Buddhism. You see, I usually describe Nalanda tradition, although it's the same source. Chinese Buddhism also used to come from Nalanda. But you see, the rigorous study is concerned. I think a Tibetan, over 1,000 years, you see, we kept very much emphasis, the rigorous study, many textbooks. So there are many Chinese scholars, Buddhist scholars, and Buddhist practitioners. You see, they very much appreciate Tibetan knowledge about the Nalanda tradition. So many Chinese are very eager to learn more from our tradition. And then among Chinese Buddhists, many of them follow Tibetan Buddhism.
But is it possible for them, and also I think for Tibetans, to practice Buddhism as much as they want?
I think practice means, you see, the mental training.
Yeah.
Nobody can interfere that.
Okay.
But you see, for study in Tibet,
Yeah.
nowadays, you see, there nowadays some improvement. Otherwise, now for example, the Daegu Monastery.
Drepung.
Daegu
In
Monastery.
Lhasa.
In Lhasa. Before 1959, when at the time of my final examination, this number of monks, then 7,000 to 8,000 monks.
Yeah.
Nowadays, recently I met one Tibetan, and I asked, "Is how many monks in Daegu Monastery?" He said less than 100.
Yes.
No proper teacher, no sort of the serious sort of study. So great damage.
But why is this, do you think?
They actually, in the past, you see, I think a few months ago, few years, you see, in ago, you see, there is a lot of restriction. Yeah. And monk remaining, some monk come from different part of Tibet, they expel.
Okay, yeah.
So and then also, you see, they no proper sort of study, and most of the teacher disappear.
So in that
in
way,
1959, thousands of scholars put in prison, and through torture, through starvation, most of them gone, and some handful reach India.
Yeah.
Then also, you see, they stepping up political education.
Yes.
So then, and also, you see, a lot of restrictions entered to monastery, like that. So now things, you see, comparatively now some sign, things improving.
That is good to hear. You touched briefly upon ecological preservation and even talk about the third pole. Tibet is blessed with vast natural resources, and the regional major rivers all originate in Tibet. What does this mean, if you can say that in few words, I know it's difficult, to the Tibetans, to the world, and to Tibet's neighbors in particular, these resources? How should we share?
Yes, I think over 1 billion human beings' life depend on this river. So in India, many people now showing their concern, you see, about some damaging, you see, the environment inside Tibet as a result of pollution of water, and also some Indian, let's say, even officials, you see, showing some concern, the constructing, the dam.
Yeah, the dam.
Many years ago, one refugee from East Pakistan, or Xinjiang,
Yeah.
he told me that's in early 60. He told me, oh, eventually the communist China may divert
the
these
rivers.
major rivers to north. You see, those desert area, you see, used for those desert area.
Yeah.
So at that time, I felt that's, I think he come from, I mean, same sort of situation. So as a refugee, so a little bit exaggeration to accuse the other.
Yeah.
Recently, you see, his sort of the fear becomes a little bit true.
A little bit more realistic, yes, because China is indeed starting to divert the rivers. Yeah.
So some Indian really is expressing their concern.
Yeah. There's there are many discrepancies, but one discrepancy between China's Tibetan Autonomous Region, the Lesser Tibet, it's only half the size of the Tibetan Plateau. And the Tibetan Plateau is 1/4 of the Chinese area. There has been some discussion between yourself and the Chinese about what is actually Tibet, the borders. Is it, could you look at it from a different view, that you, instead of talking borders and territory, you talk people, so that you, like the Roma in Europe, they are a people, they don't care about borders at all. So could you meet and perhaps, or the Sikyong, the Prime Minister, and China, and discuss Tibetans and their rights and their religious and cultural practice, rather than always talking about borders, because this disagreement it's difficult, right? But Tibetans altogether, we can.
Since we are not seeking independence, so we fully committed to remain within the People's Republic of China. Then what we are sort of concerned is, and also telling Chinese government, all those area which Tibetan ethnic groups remain, the Chinese constitution recognize it's a certain area, Tibetan ethnic groups area. So you see, the constitution sort of arranged or set up autonomous region, autonomous prefecture, autonomous county, autonomous, so on, like that.
County, I think, is the small village.
Yes.
Yeah.
So therefore, you see, we are seeking all those Tibetan area which constitution recognize as a place where Tibetan ethnic groups and set up different degree of autonomy. Now, the preservation of our language, preservation of our culture, these should have same all these areas.
In the entire Tibetan areas, not only...
The administration, that doesn't matter. Yeah. You see, I think Tibetan area, I think divided five provinces.
Provinces, yeah.
Autonomous region. Then...
Oh, bless
sorry.
You. Bless you. It's the Danish cold. Well, you should be used to that.
Then you see Yunnan province.
Yeah. Gansu.
The Sichuan province.
Sichuan.
Gansu province. Qinghai province. Like that.
Yeah. Your Holiness has hinted that your successor, the 15th Dalai Lama, will not be born inside China. or that even perhaps the institution of the Dalai Lama will stop with you. So maybe there will be no 15th Dalai Lama if this unfolds. What does that mean?
The reality, according to reality, if I think this institution, almost I think 6 centuries.
Yeah.
Before that, this institution. Then it developed. Then any sort of institution, man-made institution, sometimes come, sometimes disappear. That's quite normal. So now, I think everywhere, I think future of the world, there's no other sort of way, only a democracy. So we, Tibetan, as a small community, we fully implementing democratic principle like that. So at least I think 4th century old, the Dalai Lama institution become head of both temporal and spirituality. Now that ended, not due to some pressure. I voluntarily ended. And institution itself, as early as 1969, one of my former statement, I stated, the very institution, if the concerned people feel not relevant, then automatically cease. I have no concern. It seems to say the Chinese, some Chinese officials are more concerned about that institution.
Yes, I believe that
rather
this is
than
true.
me.
I think perhaps, and I hate to say this, that maybe we're running out of time, but I also understand that Your Holiness might have the opportunity to make a pilgrimage to the holy Mount Wutai in northeastern province of Shanxi. It's quite far away from the Tibetan plateau, but it is an important mountain. Is this a kind of appeasement from the Chinese side, like an olive branch, like stretching out a hand?
Oh, many Chinese Buddhists, when they came to see me, all of them asked me, please don't forget these Chinese Buddhists, with tear.
Yes.
I also feel little sort of feeling, some sort of very much touched. These are Buddhists. And then I am Buddhist monk. So it is my duty is to fulfill their wish. So just the pilgrimage to Wutai, that's since 1954. I have a keen interest. But then at that time, I expressed I want to make pilgrimage to Wutai. And then the concerned official, they say no proper road.
Okay.
Oh. So now still I am the same person. So still that desire there.
But the road is probably better now.
Must be.
I think so.
There's no question now. Now only political matter. So, see, I was told some local Buddhist authority in Wutai, you see, they there's some repair work, some sort of old building, the 6th Dalai Lama remained there.
Okay.
And then 13th Dalai Lama also, you see, visited there and he spent some time, I think. So they are expecting. So me too. Then I expressed this, some Chinese officials, even I think one occasion our meeting, my delegation with Chinese officials, I expressed that strictly non-political connection, just purely spiritual pilgrimage. Then they say, wherever the Dalai Lama goes, political implication always there. They say. Now I completely relinquish, or what you call?
Relinquish
Relinquish,
politics.
politics. So a little different. So we'll see.
Yes.
We'll see.
We hope so.
What interesting thing is, recently, a few months ago, the deputy party secretary of autonomous region of Tibet, You see, when he met some Indian media people, he mentioned the possibility of the Dalai Lama's sort of pilgrimage to Uttarakhand. He actually mentioned there is some discussion going on smoothly. He mentioned. And after a few months, the party secretary, they expressed very harsh words.
Okay, but maybe he's
So I
changing
don't
his
know.
mind.
Is it
We don't know.
confusion? Confuse the signals, different signals like that.
Your Holiness, I hope and I'm sure that you will visit Mount Wutai. And thank you very much for joining us today. And
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.